think we're good to go.
We can start.
We can start.
All right.
Who's hosting today?
Go for it.
Okay, welcome to All Things Conversational. After a couple of weeks take off from frustration and some challenges, we think we've got everything figured out now. We've said that a few times before. Knock that wood. So hopefully this works and we can go from there.
How
So,
long before people get tired of hearing us say something like that?
listen, I think that's got to be the last time.
We're also assuming anybody's actually listening.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to take some time. But the funny thing is, to your chagrin, we're all on Macs now, so we're all talking the same language. You're just going to have to learn a new language. It's going to be painful for you. I know.
A little bit.
It's all good. So let's just do a couple of minutes of where we've been, what have we been doing for the last couple of weeks, other than pulling out what hair we have. Some of us have gone gray, some of us have gone balder. It's been a bit of a chaotic couple of weeks. The long weekend was, to say the least, long. It was very long for me.
That's how Sue answered it as well.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it was party central, but it was a long weekend at the trailer in the freezing cold.
I was saying that the last 4 weeks have been a tough month.
Yeah, it's been a grind. I think from everything for me.
Yeah.
Like from family to work to doing this stuff, it's been a challenge.
Well, this stuff ends up being a thing that you want to get to, but you go, I'll just push it back.
Yeah. This does not take the priority for sure. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But after listening to those podcasts this morning and realizing that they worked, I feel a little bit more optimistic about
that we can actually put something out.
That we can do this, right? So
yeah.
So this week's subject is motivation. Where did you go? And I think after the day that you and I had yesterday, and coming into the office and basically wanting to turn around and walk back out of the office, I have found that this month, and I don't know what's causing it or what the reason is, but coming to work has been a grind.
Yeah, and I'm the ever optimistic person.
Yeah, it makes me crazy.
And even last night, I was at hockey, and a buddy of mine goes, like, how have things been? And I was just like, you know what? The last 4 weeks have sucked. And I'm rarely that guy, but...
Rarely that guy.
Very rarely that guy.
I don't think for me it's sucked.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just been such a challenge from everywhere. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And it's not been, and there's been nothing catastrophic happened in my life. Everybody's still healthy. Business is still churning along slowly. It's just been every direction, everywhere I turn, there's no break. And that's been the challenge is, I come to the office sometimes and I think, oh, I gotta get a break. And then you're in the office for 15 minutes and you're like, what just happened?
Even today, though.
Even today.
We came in, you messaged me last night and you're like, hey, you're at the office. You want to record? That was our game plan when both you and I got here for 8:30.
Yeah.
And then mid-morning to early afternoon got derailed.
Yep.
There was a few things happened. There was things that had to get done. Just things not going to plan, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. It's funny because I recorded that video that you haven't watched it yet, but for my team on Monday morning to go out, and the whole discussion was around control what you can control.
I think I gotta watch that.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a 4-minute hit just to tell everybody, like, you don't have control over certain things in your life. So don't worry about the things that you can't control.
I think that is a very timely video, at least in my world.
And in mine. It was cathartic, I think is the word, as I was saying it, to not worry about those things.
So for us, I don't know how up to date you are on what's been going on with our stuff, but we've had a few things go not the way they're intended to go.
Yeah.
For various reasons, but some of that has been stuff that's completely out of our control.
100%.
And when we came in yesterday, we were just having, one of those.
Yeah, self-pity days.
Self-pity days where you wallow in it.
It really is self-pity.
And, but the one thing that once we kind of got past that, we were just like, this was not in our control. This was not in our control. We can't. There's a lot of things we can control and we want to control.
Yep.
Especially, running your own business and doing your own stuff. But it's interesting to realize.
It's eye-opening when you take that perspective of, I can't do anything about this, right? Okay, and then when I can't do something about it, where do I go to do what? Where do I align myself to the things that I can control? And that was that's an eye opener, because if you can't control A, but you can control B, why have you put
Mhm.
any energy into
Yeah.
A when you could
Why
be
are you
just
letting that
doubling?
ruin you?
Yeah, and you could be doubling down on B, right? So I came into the office this morning, and I had said last week I was going to send something out to the staff, and I forgot. I just,
Yeah.
things could happen. It was a long weekend, and I forgot to send it. I sent it out this morning. Get a bunch of emails back from people thanking me for it. But it was like, okay, I'm back on track. I can control that.
That was
I
a
can
small
do the
win.
things, and it was a small win.
Yeah.
And small wins in the time that we live in right now, in the environment that we live in, especially in our businesses,
Yeah.
is huge. You can take the small one and make another small one, and make another small one, and make a small one. They don't all have to be
You know what you're doing?
catastrophic. What?
Gaining momentum.
Oh, hashtag gaining momentum.
But I'm legit serious because that's exactly what my wife had said when we were chatting. She was like, because I was like, oh, I gotta go to work Tuesday. She's like, what?
Oh,
And I was like, we haven't had things go our way. We've had these things. She goes, you just lost your momentum.
yeah. And sometimes it's
I
just,
laughed though because of for
yeah, I
obvious
mean, obvious
reasons.
reasons. But do you not find though, you lose that momentum in your day to day,
Uh-huh.
that it's very difficult to get it back. It
That's why, again, yesterday I was like, we need a small win today.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're doing a powwow. We're doing a few things. We're doing lunch.
Yeah.
Lunch was a win.
Lunch was a huge
Lunch
win.
ended up being a big booster. I mean, for me personally.
I think we should, like, if you haven't tried, for those local, and Greg and I are in Niagara Falls in the basement studio right now.
Yep.
If you haven't tried WTF, is it just WTF, or is it WTF Burger?
Maybe WTF
Might be
Burger.
WTF Burger. It's on Portage across from
Yeah, we the
Sobeys in the
finest, or
liquor
we're the
store.
finest, something like that.
Yeah, you walk in there and you think, oh, it's going to be nonsense. It's going
It
to be.
was delicious.
It was so good.
It
It
was
was
delicious.
it was such a food win for me that yeah, give me a little bit more
Well, but even
motivation
for
for
us, we had
after.
a few things actually go our way, those
Yeah.
small wins. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, we're moving, we're motoring.
Now we record.
Now we record and we wait for the day to fall apart.
Right. Oh no, we're not going to have the day fall apart. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about those mornings when you can't get out of bed, when you don't feel like. And I sent it a message to Connie yesterday. I don't feel like adulting today. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I know
Mm-hmm.
Sue and I use that term a lot, but there's days where it doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what you say, you're going to have that mindset of something's going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I have found that the more I think that, I'm not Sue's going to laugh at me, but the more you think that way, the more you're steering yourself that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get up in the morning and you say, okay, it's going to be a crappy day today, the weather's garbage. Okay, no, the
Yeah.
weather's garbage outside right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I got up and said, okay, I'm looking forward to coming here and doing this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I had to pick something.
Also, you had a huge lull that all of a sudden opened up in the middle of your day.
Yeah, I
That
did.
turned out to be like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah, but it gave me a break. You know what? And I say this to people all the time, is mental health days are important,
Yeah.
right? And I think in my business, and when I coach brand new realtors all the time, we have this um, business planning module. I should actually share it with you because I think it would help you guys. But it talks about how many days you're going to work and how many hours you're going to work, and you define your schedule at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I love doing this exercise with brand new realtors, because they're like, I'm going to work 7 days a week and I'm going to work 9 hours a
Mm-hmm.
day. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, you might for about 3 weeks. And then you are going to have a nervous breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you can't take care of it. Now, for me, myself, and I joke about my weight, but my weight is my biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So getting out of bed and going for a walk in the morning is huge. I haven't done it in ages.
You were doing it a few months ago,
I
though.
was doing it for a few months, and then this all happened, and we started this room, and
Yeah.
time became an issue, and Claudia moved home, and our
Yep.
life is the chaos.
Excuse after excuse.
Excuse after excuse, 100%.
I'm the same way.
And Sue yells at me all the time, and then she goes out and goes for a walk, and she's like, "If I can do it, you can do it." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, great." So how am I going to squeeze that in?
Mm-hmm.
But a perfect example. I was gone this morning at 7:45 to go to the mall to get something done for one of the
Oh, yep.
kids. Right.
Yep.
That's normally the time I would go walking, first
Yeah.
thing in the morning. So it gets side rails. It doesn't take long to get side rail, but the key is getting back on and saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for 3 weeks,
It's
4
funny you
weeks,
say
5
that
weeks.
because even for myself, I find I feel better again when you can get a quick workout in or whatever. I think also part of my reset today came from like I went and played hockey last night.
Yeah.
Got absolute killed. Like came home and my legs were just toast. Like ruined. And I think like to physically beat yourself down a little bit,
Yeah.
it's just like
There's nothing better feeling for me when I get up the next morning and my legs hurt.
right.
Right. And you're like, oh, I actually did something yesterday,
Yeah.
or on my
It's like
app.
you have something to show for it.
Yeah. Like my Apple Watch when all the rings close on it. Right.
Yeah,
Like
all
that's a
you Apple
goal.
Watch users talk about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I'll tell you what, so during COVID, I don't know if I ever told you the story. I woke up one morning to a message from two of my good friends, and we were like, what are we gonna do? Like we're sitting here, not doing anything. I'm basically putting on weight. So we started this daily challenge,
Mhm.
and it was for a week. Each person got to set the goal. So it started with, okay, it was 10,000 steps, or it was being up for 14 hours, or whatever it was. At the time, we all had Apple Watches.
And you
So
can set your individual goal for
you
that.
can set your individual goal, but you can
Gotcha.
also tag to each other. So I see their exercises on my watch. So when they complete a ring or they complete a goal, I see it. I get a message. And then I can go in there and say, crap, they're beating me right now. So I've got
Got
one
you.
going on with a buddy of mine, Brad, right now. And he says to me, I got to get moving again. I'm like, okay, set me up on your
Mhm.
watch and we'll push each other. That pushing sometimes
Uh-huh.
is the motivation. You have to find whatever works for you. For me, accountability with somebody else is always,
Well, a little bit of
always.
competition.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to put a little like
A little
something on the line,
dinero
be
on the
like, yeah,
on
or
thing.
you go like, listen, loser buys a case of beer or takes the other one out for lunch.
We did it once in the office. We had a competition with
Uh-huh.
who could lose more. And actually, Sean, our manager, he lost a crap ton of weight.
Really?
He probably lost 80 pounds. He's the only guy that's kept it off because his dedication to doing it now is so intense.
It's become part of
It's
them.
his life, right? It's
Gotcha.
who he's becoming. He's out 5 to 10K a day. I couldn't do 10K in a day during the week if my life depended on it. That's an hour of walking, right?
You say that, but like you also could walk and get a lot of things done.
Well, so I listen to a lot of podcasts when I walk,
Right.
and
You
I
could
take a
also
lot of
be
phone calls.
I was gonna say you could
Yeah,
take phone calls, you could be like, here's a thought, throw a walking pad at your desk.
yeah, I can't do it.
Why?
I just can't do it.
What do you mean?
It's not my thing. It's
It's the
not.
same as walking down the street.
Yeah, except I can't do this.
Yeah, but you don't
I have
have to.
to.
You pick the tasks. That's when you're doing your Stephen Olivering,
I'm Stephen Olring.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could try, but it's never been my. And I would have to get a stand-up desk, and that doesn't interest me either. I also have two hernias that make it very difficult to stand for like extended lengths of time.
Fair.
So it's just one of those things, But you know what? I like walking. I like going now that we're back in the trailer park. I'll walk the trailer park because there's 100
Yeah, it's
kilometers of
also
pass. It's also
nice.
different,
Yeah,
right?
you're not walking in
Um,
the office seeing the same stuff.
well, and so when I walk in the wintertime, I walk at the arena on the 1 kilometer track upstairs or a quarter of a kilometer track
I got
upstairs at
you.
the arena. Well, there's only so many times you can walk past the Fort Erie Wall of Fame and not be bored out of your mind.
You on that Wall of Fame yet?
I'm not up on the Sports Wall of Fame. Not a
I thought
chance.
maybe it was like
No, 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 no.
everybody.
No, I'm still an outsider in my own town.
You're an
And I've
outsider
been
in
there.
this country.
Oh, wow, that's cold. All right, so all right, we got a little sidetracked there from motivation. What we the idea of this was, um, what else can you instill? You must have had some ups and downs during your career,
Mhm,
whether it's this career or another career,
mhm.
where you have really struggled with trying to figure out how to be happier and more successful in your business.
Well, that's a good question. So definitely, I put a lot of thought into that, which is why I ended up leaving that last career I was at.
Okay.
That was a job I was in for years, but it involved me being away a lot, involved a ton of work. And I remember it involved the decision making that they were
Yeah.
involved in was just like didn't make sense to me. Anyways, all that kind of went into me changing careers to this,
Right.
being like, oh, I'd rather have more control over day to day stuff.
Right.
Downside being when you close your laptop here, stuff doesn't go away,
No.
right? And if you're in a funk, There's nobody else for the most part to take care of it. I'm fortunate. I got somebody else to take care of it.
Yeah, she wears that hat for both of us.
Yeah. And the idea is I can wear it for her, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But
Do you find that having that person day to day to bounce some stuff off helps?
oh man, tremendously. When I came in yesterday, I had like I also keep a lot of stuff internal.
Yeah, me too.
You
We're
you
guys.
you wouldn't
That's a
know.
guy thing.
Yeah, it probably is. So when she came in, she was just like, I don't want it today.
Yep.
I don't want to adult,
Yep.
we'll say. And I was like, oh man, you too.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ah, okay."
Well, I sent her that meme,
And
and
then
she said that you were feeling
as
exactly
soon
the
as
same
she told
way.
me that, I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
there must be something in the air."
Yeah, I don't think the weather this year in the spring has helped. Normally, I feel like we're still the middle of April with the weather,
Yeah, there's definitely some.
right? I think there's some doomy, gloomy kind of.
Yeah,
I feel like we're living in London right now.
uh like London, England.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's rainy all the time. It's dreary.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
that's typical what
I
you
also just think
vision.
the three of us, have been involved in a lot of the same business.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think that the business aspect of it has been challenging this year
Yeah.
for almost everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's
But to that
exempt
point
from
though,
that.
even when I was talking to my wife and I was like, "Oh, I gotta go to work on Tuesday." And she was like, because I was like, I haven't been around for the last couple weeks for various reasons. Just some family stuff. And she was like, "Oh, was like Sue bugging you about anything?" I was like, "Not even in the slightest."
Yeah,
She was like, "Then what's your problem?"
yeah, but that's an outsider's view, right? So
Exactly.
she, if we brought Tay into it for a few
Hmm.
days and said, "Hey,
Well, because
come
it's
arrive,
also like
it's your
it's
baby,
your thing, it's
it's your
your baby.
yep,
Um, and that's part of the powwow that Sue and I had today with us getting our whole process. It's an ever changing thing, and we're getting better at it.
yep,
Um, but I showed her something, and I was like, I put a lot of thought into this a week or two ago, and we're going through it, and she goes, "Whoa, you did put a lot of thought into this,"
yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, because I needed to fix the areas of my business that I'm not good at, or I don't put effort in," which to me is like the little stuff.
yeah, a
Um,
minutia,
yeah, I'm like a big picture. I'm like, how do we get this to there?
yeah,
And this is a whole nother topic, but like something came up that I was like, ooh, it's the little stuff that I don't think matters. Sometimes matters
yeah,
to certain people.
yeah,
So
one
we
hundred
were
percent.
just discussing some of that in our process and whatnot. And I think that was another little like, okay.
Yeah, I'll say it's funny because my old assistant had told me in the last couple of days that she's moving to New Brunswick. So her and her family bought a house out there, and literally as I'm saying that, she pops up as a message on my phone. I'm not even joking. Um, so it made me stop and think a little bit about some things, and it made me realize that having that person
Hmm.
is so important from a business standpoint because no matter what anybody says, you can't do it alone. You
You're in
cannot.
the shit together.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
really are in that pile and trying to find your way out,
Hmm.
right? There's no joke about a guy falls down the hole type thing and basically says, how can I get out? And guy jumps in there with him and says, I've been down this hole before. I know how to get out. And I was like, huh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
And that's really what, when you partner up with somebody, it really comes down
That's a
to.
big advantage.
I'm not a huge proponent of teams per se. I just think that somebody has to wear the top of the chain hat, whether it's in different aspects of your life or whatever, but having that person with you every step and doing everything with you is not only motivational, it can push you through that day
Hmm.
where nobody, you wake up and you're like, I just can't today. And that person says, you absolutely can. You've got this. You can do this. This is what you do. That makes a huge difference,
Huge.
right? Like and it's kind of a bit of companionship. It's also accountability.
Hmm.
It's also, take your head out of your ass. We've
Yeah.
got
A
to
little
do this.
reality
A
check.
little reality check,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And I miss the reality check. I do really, really, really miss that part.
Yeah, it's this running your own little business.
Yep.
It can be pretty isolating, I
Very
guess,
much.
right? and you kind of get in, especially because at least in my side of the things, I can interact with clients and like never meet them. I
Yes.
can talk with them on the phone a ton of times. I can send them any of these videos that we put together, showing them breakdowns of stuff. They'll see me way more than I ever see them,
Oh, 100%.
right? And so oftentimes I'm just with one on one with a screen.
Yep.
So it's nice when you can look over at somebody, whether they're in a good mood or a bad mood, and you can be like, "Hey, blah blah blah."
Yeah, that relationship aspect of it. But then we're in a relationship business,
Yeah.
right? Like all our business is generated from those from relationships that we build. So you become kind of dependent on
Hmm.
relationships with people. And I think that's kind of one of those things where, like doesn't matter what it is, that relationship that you have, whether it's with your business partner, your spouse, your kids, your customers, your clients, whatever the term is, those relationships can be as used as motivation as well, because that person's depending on you.
So if you find yourself in a funk again,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do to get out of it?
Hire an assistant. Honestly, it's funny because
Okay.
you guys were talking about an assistant earlier,
Yeah.
and um, I was kind of thinking, okay, yeah, I need an assistant, but I don't need the same type of assistant that you guys need. I need a boots on the ground type person
Hmm.
who's going to be out there doing the things that, I don't necessarily have the time to do,
Hmm.
inspections, whatever the case may be. But I need a licensed assistant. That's very difficult to find for me.
Yeah.
And very, like, I think we've talked about this before, very difficult, to train somebody for them to leave, right? Like that's a,
You're as much as I bust your chops about it, there's a plan in place. You're just in this limbo.
yeah, yeah. And finding the right person, like I, I need somebody, it's going to sound weird, but I need a younger person to offset me,
Hmm.
because there's times where like it gets to be 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, okay, I'm sounding like an old man here, but I
Yeah.
go to bed 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because I'm up at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Where my old assistant, shout out Tiffany, would be working at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
So I could go into the office in the morning, get a bunch of stuff done before
Hmm.
she's even out of bed. Now
Yeah.
she had a baby, that whole
Sure.
dynamic changed, but she was the late night worker.
Your
I was the
guys,
early morning. The dynamic
but like it was
worked.
operating nearly 24 hours a day,
Oh
right?
yeah, like we had very little downtime. Whether she, and I would wake up and she'd have 5 emails there for me, and I'd be like, oh, before she gets out of bed, I've already set out
Yeah.
her day with her. I need that person again, and that's very difficult. You know what? It's like getting into a relationship,
Yeah.
right? You get into this, banter back and forth, and you can ask Tiff. She's like, I'm not kidding. She's been messaging me, but I tell her all the time in the last year or so how much I miss her,
Hmm.
because I don't just miss the business
Yeah.
aspect of
As
it.
a
There
coworker,
was a
your friends,
coworker
everything.
camaraderie. We joked, we laughed,
You built your
we
business
built our
together.
business together, and I
Yeah.
helped her build her business to what it is now, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that, that aspect of it that you're like, I miss that.
Yep.
Right. And I haven't had it in a year and a bit now.
Hmm.
And I have struggled with it. I'm point blank. I have really, really struggled with not having an assistant. But again, I haven't really put a ton out there
No.
to go and get
To
one.
fix it,
Yeah.
and yeah.
And I kind of am waiting for Jordan, and that's the other aspect for
Yeah.
me. Like I know she's coming into the fray. I know what she's going to do. I've already got all that big picture stuff planned out. So
Yeah.
my motivation is to get to her instead of hiring somebody that,
Which I think makes sense.
yeah, but she may not be, like, she may be another year, but then to hire somebody and say in a year, I don't need you, isn't fair either.
Yeah.
Right.
So you essentially got to find somebody who's fresh off.
Oh, fresh meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, listen, I can train you,
Yep. Yeah.
but there's an exit date in
Yeah.
mind.
There's an exit strategy there at some point. I agree.
So it's somebody unique. So if somebody's out there,
Yeah. If you're a licensed realtor looking to work with a crazy old man, call me. Right. And realistically, it's funny because well, I'll never forget, I interviewed Tiffany for the job of being my assistant. And I said to her, I said, listen, you need to understand that my brain is a squirrel. Like
mm-hmm.
I'm never going to sit down with you and say, okay, today's this, tomorrow's this. I'm going to say, "Ba, ba, 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 ba," and then be like, okay, let's make it work.
Yeah.
Right? Like I used
You're
to
like
be.
one of those huge tennis machines that fires balls and she just has to return them,
Yeah, yeah, that's
right?
exactly what it was. Exactly. So I mean, it's motivational to have that kind of goal at the end, but that doesn't help the day to day.
Okay, so prior to getting an assistant,
Yeah,
next time you find yourself in a funk, what are you
yeah.
gonna do?
Um, honestly, I
There's got to be something that you're like,
so for me at this time of year, it's much easier. And I said the weather before because um, I used to tell the staff come May 1st, I'll be at the trailer. Like I set the trailer up so
mm,
that I can go and work from the deck there. I can
yep.
go and record. I can do anything I want there because I've got high speed internet. That was motivational to me to be able to sit outside and enjoy the weather. That would be the one thing that
Yeah,
could
you guys are
get me
set up pretty
going.
good out
We're
there.
set up pretty sweetly out there. I can work inside in the rain. It doesn't make a difference, but being out there
Hmm.
really helped. But honestly, I think the thing that triggered me today and getting me to do something was recording that 4 minute video.
It
And
was a small
it
win,
was a small win, and it was like, okay, I'm back in work mode.
but it's funny because I don't think you would have done that had we not given you the lull.
No,
You were kind of like
yeah, because
you
we were
you were
supposed to.
sitting there at my desk and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go do something
Yeah,
else, and then you
yeah.
came back, and
Came down and recorded a video, sent it off to somebody to take a
which I think
boo
is
at.
gonna be a good
I
one of
think
those
that doing
series.
those little series, those little motivational things, I can record 10 of them in a day,
Uh-huh.
right? And just and schedule them to go out to
Are they
the
gonna go
team
by
on Monday morning.
the
Monday morning.
bomb bomb?
So I use BombBomb. Great. It's great to record them and get the analytics and stuff. I will use them, use BombBomb to record them all, and then just send them each week.
You can do an automation in there, eh?
Yep.
Did you have that
I've got
like
the whole.
opted in for it?
I've got the whole suite. I've got the full kit and caboodle, like we like to call it.
They had to unlock it when I was using it. It was
Oh yeah.
weird. Yeah, they like
No.
it didn't show up initially.
Yeah, but I've had BombBomb for so long that I've had it for about 7 years that I'm kind of grandfathered into all the original stuff. I've never really messed with my account.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I've got all the options. But you can, I mean, they've got so many add-ons to that program that can simplify your life. But realistically, even if I just go on to, and record them and send them out
Yeah, once a week. It's
once a
pretty
week,
easy.
it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
We can record it in here where we're recording today. So it's kind of, but doing that, and it's funny enough because there's been a lot of chat lately, no pun intended, about Chat GPT and all the AI stuff. A lot of those ideas, those script ideas come from there. I sat down here today and said, I want to do a motivational
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
It gave me 45 ideas. And I went, that's the one I'm talking about today,
I like that one.
right? This is the one. This is the one I feel like talking about. And I find that kind of stuff helps as well. When I
That's
don't have,
huge.
how many times have you sat down to do something and you're like, I don't even know where to begin?
Yeah.
Chat GPT, give me some ideas. And I don't use
Even
it
for a jump off point.
and that's it. That's the
Yeah.
jump off point. And then you take the knowledge, the skill, and the
You go,
expertise that
oh,
you've
that's a
got.
good thing. That reminds me of rabbit
Yeah,
babba.
yeah. Blank insert
Yeah.
commentary here. So that's been great. For me to kind of talk about and launch those ideas. Um, but again, I love teaching. Right? I love that aspect of it. I love the motivational part of it. Although, if you listen to the conversation in my house last night, where I was the referee in
Ah,
in a pretty intense conversation. And Sue said to me at the end of the day, she goes, "Where did you come from?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You were mild mannered, you were even keel, you were positive." I'm like, "Yeah, well, after having a bad day, and it was good for me. It was, like it was a different perspective.
yeah, it's just the energy you were in.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
I was in a good headspace. Headspace is so important to
Mm,
right. How often do you get into a bad headspace?
me? Not often.
No, you're not. You're that
No.
guy. And I
No.
find for me, it's easy for me to get in there. I don't stay in there long, but I
Yep.
really have to push to get out.
For some reason, I am a
Yeah.
glass half full every time.
Freaking eternal optimist is
Yeah,
what you
that's
are.
exactly it. Like even when I meet with my networking group, um, on Thursday mornings, you do your quick introduction. And sometimes there's like a fun fact or a little thing we like to do. And the one week, one of the guys was like, if you were to be an animal, what animal would you be? And he asked it like right before you do your thing. And a few people answered like, I don't know, a bear or a wolf. And I was like, I'm a golden retriever.
You are having one in my house right now. That's exactly the animal.
I was like, I'm loyal. happy, and what you need.
Except for the fact that they're dumb as tree stumps. Ours runs into things head on, like literally runs into the front door.
Who's golden?
It's
Oh,
black.
I got
It's
you.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right.
retriever,
You're
but it's
right.
black.
Yeah, but she's a sweetheart.
She's 6 and dumb. Like
She's a
you
sweetheart.
say the word ball, and that dog will run through the front door. The front door's steel. That dog will run through it because she thinks she's going to go outside and
I
play.
hear motivated.
Yeah, she's motivated, all right.
Right?
She is
You
motivated to go
you say
chase that
dumb for
ball.
that. I say motivated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Listen. I try to be optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
But my job is so much about protecting people that it's very when when people don't necessarily need me when things are good. I'm needed a lot when things are bad.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a mental challenge every day. Right. It's not easy. Like I've got agents that are some of the greatest agents in the world that I never hear from. And then things implode or explode,
And all of a sudden the phone rings and you go,
uh-oh.
yeah.
Yeah. Or, hey, I just sat in on your training and I blah, 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 blah. And you're like, wish I'd never trained on that today. But how do we fix it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
A broker record is really a fixer, right? We train you, hope you listen to us. And if not, we fix what you don't listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my job in a nutshell. Like it's I put things out there for people to use and listen and do things, and if they don't show up or they can't show up or whatever the reason is, and they miss it, and then they go out. It never fails. You train on something, and then somebody calls you and says, "Oops, I did this."
Yeah.
It's nature of the business.
It is what it is. You can't change it.
Nope, no.
But I will say that when I do get into a funk every now and then, it's short lived, and normally something physical can like knock me out of it. It'll be like just go for a workout or go
Oh, okay, yeah.
do something. Go for a hike, go for a walk,
Yeah, I think
ride your bike.
outdoors is huge for me. I mean, I don't know about you. So you grew up in town. I grew up in the country. So until I went to university, for the most part, we were country people. Like a few years in town, but for the most part, I lived on 100-acre farms, 200-acre farms, 17. Like I can tell you all the farms that we lived on. So I spent my summers outside doing things like baling hay and like having that kind of energy as I've gotten older and become I live in the country, but I'm not a country boy anymore, and yet my son is a country bumpkin. Pardon the expression, but he loves it. Like he'll be on the quads, he'll be out doing those things. I find those kind of things are huge to me. Sometimes it's just stepping away, right? Stepping away and saying, I'm not taking that call today. In my case, I've got managers. Somebody can call the manager and say, hey, I've got this problem, and I never hear about it. And
Do you ever
sometimes
find like
not
a
knowing is
hobby
better.
can reset you too?
I don't have hobbies. I golf. That's really it. And I'm not joking. Like I don't have a ton of hobbies. I used to. I used to play a lot of cards. I love cards. My Sue hates cards now. I don't know why.
Like when you say play cards, like you'd play
I
solitaire
we
by
no
yourself?
no no no. I would play euchre or crib, or my old partner and I. We've talked about him and I would play 3 games of crib every single day. That was
You don't have any hobbies that you do on like I know you mentioned you own like 3 guitars.
yeah. I don't play them. I I took lessons for a number of years and realized I still suck. And I pick it up every once in a blue moon just to say I've
Plunk
plunked
around.
around on it, but
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I really don't have hobbies. My trailer's hobbies. I
Yeah,
like going
okay.
to the trailer
Yeah.
but that's not a hobby. That's just a getaway. But I don't have a ton of hobbies anymore. But golf is my thing. Like, I
Golf counts as a decent hobby.
yeah, kind of. But again, like it's not like you can just pick up and do an hour of golf, right?
No,
Like you can
you're
go to
right.
the range, but who the hell wants to go to the golf range? I suck at golf.
Yeah.
I shoot low 90s. Would I like to shoot in the 80s? Sure. But am I going to go out and work 3 hours a day on my game to get into the mid 80s? No, because that 3 hours a day could be time with my kids, right? So
That's fair.
my kids right now are probably my biggest hobby. I love spending time with my kids right now. They're humans,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're adults, right? Like they can do things that we couldn't do 10 years ago, right? So, but yeah, I don't have hobbies. What about you? I know you play guitar. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Are you good?
No.
No. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that
no.
makes me
I
feel
just
better.
plunk around.
Okay. But you still play hockey.
Yeah.
Your kids are also very young, so they monopolize a ton of your time.
Yep, yep, yep. I would say guitar is the biggest hobby that I've kept for the
Really?
most part. Yeah.
Oh, I like Lego, but
Oh, that's a good
I
one.
love my Lego, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't put any together in a while, and that's because we got no room to put it anywhere.
Yeah.
I've been joking about putting a display here on the wall
That'd be cool.
upstairs,
Even
just
down here.
because we just don't have the space, right? Like
Well,
to keep it.
you gotta find a hobby.
I know, I
I
know.
mean, not that you have a ton of time, but
Well,
I feel to me a hobby can just
but see, okay, so all right, so bringing it back to the motivation, that would not make me a hobby. Would be I wouldn't want to go out and say, "Oh, I'm in a bad mood. I'm going to go do something like that." I This is going to sound stupid, but to me, I go to sleep. When I get in that funk, I rest. And I think part of it is I rest my mind because my mind doesn't stop. It never shuts off.
but I think that's what a hobby does for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to try it. I mean, you could be
it
right.
pulls your focus to this singular thing
Yeah,
that brings you joy,
yeah,
and you kind of block everything else out.
yeah. I never thought of it that way. Maybe that's what I need to do.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe again.
but again, maybe it's just a matter of picking. Like I belong to a golf club. I could just walk up to the club and go and hit. And it's 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah,
I could go and hit balls. Right? I could go and try and work on my golf swing, and that might make me happy. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not one of those guys that don't have a lot of hobbies anymore. And when I think about it, I never don't think I ever really did. I'm a workaholic. That's part of my problem.
that's your hobby.
Yeah, work is my hobby. I love what I do. It's
Interesting.
not negative to me,
Mm-hmm. It
right?
just is.
It just is, right? Like I get in front of my computer and I'm gonna go home tonight and edit a session
Yeah, you.
and post a session, right? And everything done. That to me is rewarding. That probably would be more
So for
satisfying.
you, the biggest thing to get out of a little funk, because I think of okay, you either pull your focus out of the funk with a hobby,
Yeah.
or guess you'd have to go after a small win. And for
Yeah.
you, it's like I'd rather just go after a small win.
I'd like to immerse myself in what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you're like I need to swing the momentum the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. So when your list of, if you've ever seen my work to do list and it's
Mm,
3 feet long,
yeah.
tick on
Right.
that list is huge for me. Huge. The ability to say, okay, I got a podcast up today, or I recorded that video.
Yep.
There's small steps. Again, back to baby steps towards a bigger goal. For me, again, back to my training. When I train people, train them on something called a BHAG. Right? You've heard me use it. Like my staff hear me use it all the time. I've got big, hairy, audacious goals. Mine happens in 8 weeks. 8 weeks, 9 weeks. We get on a plane. Everything is working towards
I gotta
that.
put that in my calendar.
You really do, because I'm sending it out to my staff tonight. Hey, just so you know, here's the 3.5 weeks that I'm gone. Because that to me will be the best recharge that I've had in 18
Yep.
years. Right.
Holy Hannah.
Yeah, like I've gone for week jaunts here and there,
Hmm.
but I've never done a vacation like this. Like
This is
never.
substantial.
This is it. And uh, like my predecessor in my company, her and her husband just got back from South Africa, and they did safaris, and they were gone for 3 weeks. And I said to him when he came back, I said, "How was he?" He goes, "It was incredible." I said, "Well, how did you feel about being away from work?" And he's like, "Work? I didn't think about it. I prepped myself so well before I left that I didn't have to think about it." And that's where I'm hoping I can be.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So the next 8, 9 weeks is going to be chaotic for me. Good chaos, because I know where we're going
Yeah, you
towards.
got a goal.
Got a goal, right? And ticking off goals is big in business, right? Baby steps towards the bigger goal, right? So you get caught in the weeds to see the big picture, right? You got to cut those weeds down. That's the way I look at it. I'm cutting the weeds down on that minutia stuff so that I can get to the big picture and see what it is.
Making me think about a BHAG now.
Yeah. So if you don't have a BHAG, everybody listen. Neil Thornton taught me this, who's a great teacher, great motivational teacher in Niagara. And he said, if you don't have something to work towards, what are you working for?
Hmm.
Right? If you don't set yourself a goal that almost seems unattainable,
Hmm.
You're just working. And why are you doing what you do? That's great if you work in the casino where I came from and you're just working, you're putting in your 40 hours, you're going home and,
Mm-hmm.
chomp on it and you don't really care what happens when you walk out the door. But when you're in our business
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a goal, what are you working towards? Right? Because your goal needs to be something that you are stretching yourself, you're pushing yourself, you're learning more to get to somewhere.
Make me think of a vacation now.
So ours ended up being a vacation, but in the past, it's been I wanted to buy another brokerage. I wanted to expand.
Got you.
That was a big goal for us. And how were we going to do it? How were we going to end up doing it? Purchasing a building, another thing like we did. We did a lot of our, I set a couple of goals last year and we accomplished them both. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't, isn't always the greatest and you take the good with the bad. But for me, having that goal is kind of that push, that momentum pusher, that creation that
Mm-hmm.
says, "Hey, that's what I'm going to do." Right? I hate vision boards.
I was about to say you got your
Listen,
little mental
I have
vision
a
board
mental
going.
vision board going, but my kids do vision boards. My wife does vision boards. I teach the staff to do a vision board. For me, it's an exercise that I don't need because I know what my goals are. I set them every single year, and this year
Interesting,
was to get away on that vacation that we
but
planned
that's a good one.
2 years ago. Right? And funny enough, we're still scrambling to get some things done, and we've been planning it for 2 years.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard snippets of stuff, and
Yeah, yeah. Poor Jackie and I. We've got a meeting on Friday with the rest of the group because we're missing like we don't know how we're getting from place to place. We know we're getting here to Greece. We don't know how we're getting from Greece to the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the boat, from the boat to the hotel. We have none of that stuff figured out yet. And it's not like here where you can just hop on a GO train and go from Pearson.
yeah,
You can't do that there.
I did a month away like that,
Yeah,
but I was 18
yeah.
with two buddies.
And there wasn't 22 of you.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. There's three of us, and I was like, we'll figure out how to get to wherever.
Listen, I've done that. We went to Vancouver last year,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and a great trip, everything about it. But we kind of had the things booked, but we had no idea how we were getting. Like we had no
Yep.
idea what the routes were.
Sure. You're
We
like,
got
whatever.
on.
I'll figure it out when I'm there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we turned on the GPS. We went and stopped along the
There's
way. And
22 of you guys going on this trip?
22, 5 families.
Dude, good luck booking anywhere for dinner.
So that's the good thing about a boat.
It's
Right?
all on a boat.
It's all 11 of the days is on the boat. So we don't really have to think about it. And then 5 days of it is just Jackie's family and I in the UK. So we pared
I
down
got you.
after Venice to do that. But yeah, like just coordinating everything is such a huge challenge. I could never be a travel agent ever, ever. Oh,
Yeah, I feel like if you do that, you really got to specialize on an area.
yeah. And I will tell you that we've had really good travel agents and we've had some really, really bad ones over the years.
Maybe they were in a funk.
Maybe they were in a funk. I don't know. 2 years of trying to plan a trip like this, I don't think I could ever do it. It's just
Yeah, it's too many moving pieces, too many people.
too many personalities to appease. Like it's funny, you walk into a house when you're selling a house. One of the first things I say to people is, figure out who's the dominant personality, because that's the person you want to, appease the most. And when you got 22 people doing something, 22 personalities, forget about
Yeah,
it.
and some people have multiple.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have conversations with myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, when you've got that goal, when you've got that thing that's pushing you, it makes getting out of a funk easier, but it also makes it easier to not get into one. Right. Um,
Yeah, like you're keeping yourself out of the bad rut, stuck in the good rut.
yeah. Yeah. Or like in my life, sometimes just even keel is good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If I could take the highs and the lows out,
Yeah, I heard somebody recently say you want to build a boring business.
that's a great line.
And I was like,
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah, because when you think about it, that's actually a really great
Yeah.
line. Because in real estate, and because de facto in a good market, you're really really busy, and the money's coming in. I call them check chasing, right? So
Check
check
chasing.
chasing, you're always chasing the next check when you
Okay.
don't have money coming in.
Uh-huh.
Or how am I going to get paid?
Yeah.
If you create a boring business and it's
It's just steady Eddie.
150 every year or 200 every year, whatever your income is,
Yeah.
and it's steady, And what's going on, and like I said to in that video earlier about control what you can control, that that even keel takes all of that nonsense out. That's a great line.
Yeah, I know. I
Wow, kudos to whoever told you that, because that's a brilliant, brilliant line.
Yeah. So maybe that's the BHAG.
Maybe that is the BHAG. Build a boring business.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I think we should end it there.
Yeah.
End it on build a boring business. That's a fantastic line.
What keeps you out of the funk?
Keeps you out of the funk. Keeps you out of the funk. Keeps you optimistic
Yeah.
and stops you from being pessimistic. I love it. All right. Without
That's it.
peace.